Hey folks, we have with us my client Megha Kaveri from Geneva, Switzerland. And we have completed 6 months in our journey, and it gives me so much pleasure to welcome you on the call today, Megha. This is your graduation, and congratulations.
Thanks, coach. Thank you so much. Really happy to have this call.
Incredible. I mean, the way you showed up for your journey, Megha, the commitment, the readiness you had to go through these shifts, it's not easy at all, but still, even with the fear of commitment or fear of making a change, you made sure you enrolled and you started taking action. So, really proud of your efforts. That first step in itself is a very big win, like I say, right? So, Megha, let's start with a little bit of an introduction about you. If you can just share who you are, what your life looked like before you joined my program, and what prompted you to take that first step.
I am Megha. I live in Geneva, Switzerland, right now. I'm an Indian. I grew up in India, and until 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, I was living there in South India, mostly in Chennai. Um, Before I joined the program, my background is that I've had a very unhealthy relationship with food, basically a lot of junk food, and the reason how I went into that was also in hindsight. Hindsight is 10 on 10. In hindsight, it was to cope with my depression, to be honest, because depression is not something that happened to me overnight, and it was adding up over 6, 7, 8 years. And my way to cope with those feelings was to seek refuge with junk food. That was the background. And like everything, every bad habit or good habit in our lives, it added up and built in my body, in my mind, and my brain over those many years. And it was it the reason how I enrolled or why I enrolled in this program was because I was 30, 31, early 30s, and I was thinking that I had come out of depression. I was fully off medication, and I was in a very good place in my life. Like my career was good, my life was good, surroundings was good, everything was in that sweet spot. Then I thought, okay, now I have the free mind space to kind of invest in myself and focus on myself to build something. Otherwise it was more of a survival. Me and my body was just surviving up until that point, with my master's thesis, all of that, finding internships and all of that. But the moment I felt that I was safe enough to kind of break down whatever was holding up my survival, and that I was sure that I wouldn't crumble if I break it down to build something better, that is when I enrolled in the program, because I felt very ready. And since I was starting my 30s at that time, I was like, my aim was preventative. Adanala, I thought that okay, it is a very good time to build those habits because menopause is coming up in say 15 years ballpark, and it would be nice to have these habits in place in the run up, and then I wouldn't struggle too much at that point. Of course, we don't know that, but that was the goal, to build sustainable life habits that will give me better health metrics, make me feel better inside and outside.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Megha. And I know you were in a very, very difficult space when I met you 6 months ago. If you were to elaborate a little bit, right, break it down. I know you said you were in a very difficult mental space and a difficult relationship with food that kind of piled on your body, right, in terms of weight. But physically, can you just elaborate a little bit? What was going on for you in terms of energy, in terms of mood, your body composition? What was really going on?
Around the time I joined the program, I was probably 4 or 5 months into kind of switching my diet, to be honest, because by then I was in a better headspace and I recognized that. Adanala, I had also gotten a blood work done maybe 1 year before I joined the program, And it brought up some flags like higher HbA1c, higher cholesterol. அதுக்கப்புறம் I also have like genetic propensity to develop diabetes at some point in my life, but it wasn't showing as yet. But I knew that it could be there in the horizon, you know. And so all of those things came up, and I was trying very hard to switch my diet to a more Mediterranean focused, more whole grains, veggies, fruits, and all of those things. But I felt like 4.5 months into that journey, I was starting to feel a bit better, but only a little. It still wasn't contributing significantly towards how I'm feeling. Um, it gave me that mental satisfaction that I'm eating cleaner. But again, it wasn't showing results, so to speak.
Mm.
And then I realized that, you know what, maybe, and my movement was completely all over the place. And up until that point, I wasn't moving too much because a large part of it was inertia. Like I was just like, I needed that push, you know. And I was walking a bit more, but nothing too out of the ordinary there. And so all of this combined, when I decided to enroll into the program, my aim was, okay, I need structure. You know, I need information that comes from a credible source. And for me, it was also important that that source be aware that it is a woman's body. And because I studied migration and global health for my master's, and I was a journalist before, so I knew that a lot of medical research that's out there was done on male bodies, you know. And so typically when they adapt it to, when they think about placing a woman for those studies, usually it is with the understanding that a woman is a miniature man. That is the angle by which a lot of these things go through. I was aware of it, so I was seeking somebody who knew how health and nutrition worked in women's bodies, and more so in South Asian women. You know, that cultural context was also important for me because South Asians genetically have different markers, different issues, different plus points as well. And I wanted somebody who kind of knew all of those, who appreciated those nuances, because I wanted something that worked well for me. And with the internet, I was so confused with all the advice that was out there. So I needed something that was tailored for me. I needed structure. I needed gentleness in implementing that structure, because I at that point in time I had heard from a couple of my close friends that they also went through some programs like this in India, but it was very rigid for them. They had to send picture every day, every meal, and then they'll get judgments back. You know that I was put off by those kind of high level commitments, so to speak, drastic commitments. And so this was the goal for me, to seek for something that will work for me, that's not too too punishing. It's
Mm.
the wrong word, but too imposing in that way, but also gently disciplined me. You know, of course, I'm not a child, but I needed that discipline. And I think that was my first point of being vulnerable in this journey, you know, that I acknowledged that I am in need of that disciplining, and I was ready to do that work. So I
Mm.
needed somebody who would do that. And I used to follow Sri Vidya from 2017 when we were part of Bessie Flyers running chapter. And I then suddenly remembered, oh my God, yeah, she used to run. And off late, I've been seeing a lot of her videos of working out and stuff. Maybe it's a good point to check out what is, if she offers those things. Until that point, I didn't know that you did that. Okay. So, but then I did my research and then I found you. And that's how it all started. So, body wise, I was pretty bad, and my energy levels were all over the place, because I was also coming out of that philosophy where when you are depressed or when you're dealing with a mental illness, typically what your community says is that your community, as in your community of therapists and other similarly placed individuals, what they say is that don't starve. So any food is still food. That was the philosophy I was coming out of, and I wasn't fully out of it. So for me, even at that point, I was eating cleaner, but still any food was still food. It was
Mm.
better than starving. That was my approach. So I used to eat breakfast and then immediately after some time my energy will crash and then I'll grab a snack. It was like that. The energy levels wasn't steady. I was more irritable often. I was cranky. Sometimes I was on a sugar high or food induced high. It was a bit all over the place, to be honest.
Very erratic, right? So, and I totally hear you, and thank you
Very.
for those snippets from your research. I did not know that that
Oh,
most
okay.
was done on men's bodies and women were seen as smaller men. And let me tell you, even in the space of perimenopause and menopause, hardly any research. And even the doctors are not really taught about this back in school. Not much research has been done about this. So, and we basically get to learn as we go through this. And of course, from my
Yeah.
evidence, working on myself and the evidence, working with so many thousands of women in that space, I've been able to crack the code for that. So that is exactly what I incorporate even to any woman that comes to me. Not they don't have to be in perimenopause to learn those perimenopausal skills.
Exactly.
Basically
Exactly.
calls for a sustainable shift, a holistic shift that works on the woman in all health domains. Like you exactly
Yeah.
put, physical health, mental health, emotional health, relationships, and relationship with yourself, with your body, with the weighing scale. It's just so important because it does a number on you. If those are not fixed. So I'm glad you pointed that out. And for you, it was all about creating a sustainable change, making it holistic, making it a long-term shift, right? And also to make sure to cater to all your individual tastes and choices and
Yeah.
preferences, and make it culturally oriented, right? And somebody who has experience working with South Asian women. So those were your
Yeah.
parameters, and I'm so glad you found me and I found you.
I'm so glad as well.
So we talked about the physical space in terms of your body composition, your weight. You were in a very difficult space because of the relationship that you carried with food and how it was bringing you down in terms of fatigue and your energy levels, right? How was your mood and your relationship with your body at that point, Meka?
My mood was generally okay. It wasn't positive, like I wasn't like a ray of sunshine, but I was stable. I wasn't down in the dumps or I wasn't sad, or it's not like I didn't have a zest for life. I did. But at that point, what was preventing me from experiencing life to the fullest extent or experiencing its joys to the fullest extent was the health restrictions that I felt. Like when I used to walk for longer, I used to go breathless. I avoided stairs in my office to go up to the cafeteria because it made me breathless and I was embarrassed about it in front of my colleagues. And my relationship with my body was, if 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 I remember correctly from the times I can remember, it's always been negative because um for better or for worse, our community has this very weird body shaming thing. It colorism, body shaming. You have to be thin, but then if you don't eat everything that's on your plate, that's also on you. And then it's a very carb heavy diet. But then if you tell your parents that when you're growing up, if you tell your parents that you want to go and play, no, studies are more important than playing or getting some movement. But then if you tell them that you want to go to the gym, then oh, yo, woman shouldn't go to the gym. You will put on muscle and look like a man. All these things, when done over time, it has an impact in your brain and the way you think. Right. And now that I think about it, those were all structurally obstructing my betterment. I'm not speaking for all the women when I say this, but just for me, it was structurally obstructing all the ways in which I could get better. And then walking um, there in India, it's not a walkable place. Maybe there might be pockets in metropolitan cities that are walkable, but metropolitan cities in itself is not walkable. Safety is an issue, weather is an issue. So, all of these systemic things, but also cultural things, it kind of set me up on that path. And the work that I was doing, I was a journalist at that time, so my work timings were erratic. I had to be on call pretty much all the time. அப்போ அங்கேயுமே வந்து I didn't have a structure. Like I couldn't really plan my week in advance, so to allocate pockets for fitness, you know and I'm not a person good who used to be good with my own things without a plan. For work, I was ready to show up at any time at that point, but for myself, probably not, because work took priority. Yeah, so it was a lot of those things all played into it, and the way it manifested was I used to feel very negative about my body, the way I looked, and to be honest, to be very frank, for good reason. Now
Mm.
I look at myself and I'm amazed at how much just a little discipline and structure can change. But back then, now I look back and I was feeling bad, and for a good reason. I wasn't looking my best. And I had internalized several of those toxic cultural things as well, like a girl has to look a certain way and all of
Mm.
that. And there was also this narrative that you only need to work out if you want to become thin. And at some point, I became comfortable being chubby, being fat, and having fat in all the wrong places. So once I became comfortable with that, then there was really no reason for me to seek working out, because you have to work out only if you want to be thin. No, I'm comfortable in my skin. Now, what reason should I do I have to work out, right? So a lot of that external conditioning, that imposing things, and also how it cultivated my own internal narrative,
Mm.
all of that together made me feel really negative about my body composition. There was fat everywhere, visceral fat actually, because, you know, it's not supposed to be like that. Right. So yeah, and the pictures that I used to take of myself, I used to hate. There was a until I joined the program and started becoming better and seeing that I barely took any pictures of me because I hated seeing myself in photos. Even when I
Mm.
started the program coach, if you remember, I used to tell you, no, I don't like taking pictures of me because I don't like what I'm seeing. So
And
it
I
was
also
like that.
remember this one point you said, "Oh, I took a selfie, and actually I don't look bad." You remember that, Mega?
Yeah.
You shared that with me. What a sea change from where you were to now, Mega, in terms of energy, recovery, physical body composition. Let's talk about your mental and your emotional space at that time. What were you going through at that point?
When I joined the program, I think I was at that space where I'm like, you know what? It's okay. நடந்ததெல்லாம் நடந்தாச்சு. It's okay. And yes, things add up, things are showing, but I need to work towards my life goals at this point, and at that time, my mental space was that I'm ready to do what it takes to set myself up for a win.
Mm.
That was my headspace, because I was like, I wasn't looking for any instant wins. I wasn't looking for a deadline oriented approach. I was looking to build sustainable habits. How much ever long it takes, it's fine. But I need those habits to last. That was my mental headspace at that point in time, because I knew that short time, I wasn't a short time goal person anyway. So I wanted to build it over time, and I wanted it to last long, because I wanted to be independent when I'm 60. I wanted to be able to lift my grocery bags by myself without depending on someone. I wanted myself to be able to climb stairs up or down, say if I'm going on vacation or something, without needing any sort of assistance. Now, I'm not saying needing assistance is a wrong thing. It
Mm.
is just something that I didn't envision myself needing at that time. So for as long as possible, I wanted to stay independent. That was my goal. My goal was not cosmetic at that point. Even when I enrolled into the program, my goal was not, oh my God, I have to look hot in 6 months or hot girl summer. No, none of that was my goal. My goal was healing the damage that I've done to my body over the past 30 years and moving towards a place where I can trust myself around food again, where I can trust myself and my body to work with my day, my food choices, my movement choices, and all of that for a long period of time. That was my only goal. And yeah, so at that time, I think I was quietly determined to make the changes. I was not afraid anymore. I was like,
Mm.
இதுக்கு மேல என்ன நடந்துற போகுதுன்ற mindset ஓட தான் I came in.
So lowest if you had hit, you were constantly in
Yeah,
the comfort zone, you are feeling stuck, and you said, I cannot go lower than this. I need to push myself,
exactly.
right? So
Yes.
we have a very good understanding of the baseline that you started out with, Megha. I want you to now reflect on what has changed. Let's break it down one at a time, right? So physically, what changes are you noticing? How do you feel about it?
My body composition has magically changed. I never thought my body is capable of changing at all, honestly. I knew that if I work out, I'd become fit, but I had no reference point for what fit meant, you know. But seeing how much consistent movement and consistent food with concentrating on the right macros will do to my body, that was revelatory to me. And so my body composition has changed. I think the last time we measured in the last 6 months, I've reduced what 61 centimeters across my body, more than half a meter.
Where to pull a tape? That's how much incredible work.
Exactly. And across my body, very
Right.
more or less symmetrically. And it's brilliant. It feels so good. I feel much lighter. And I mean, my gym is a very recent development, to be honest, and it's still work in progress, but I already feel the change in my baseline weight lifting uh, and my strength in some ways. My clothes fit much better. Things that I had stashed to the back of the shelf are coming back out again. They are fine. They are receiving their share of daylight, if I may. And even the clothes that I generally used to wear when I was puffed up, those also fall really well on my body now. There is one thing that clothes fit you, but it also needs to flow better on your body to look nice, right?
Mm,
That's what we say when we choose clothes. The fabric needs to fall well.
right.
Those clothes fall better. So in that sense, I am really happy. Now I'm confidently wearing high-rise jeans, tucking in t-shirts and all, which I never used to do. But now I'm more confident doing that. I can climb 2, 3 flights of stairs without running out of breath, which is a great improvement from zero. I can walk 13K, 15K steps and all easier. I can walk in like a day. Not even, I don't even have to try too hard. If the weather is nice, and then it's go, go, go for me. Lifting has given me really good confidence. Now that I'm finding it out, it's given me a lot of joy. Scale hasn't really moved much, to be honest. Maybe 2.5 kilos in the last 6 months. But my baseline has reduced quite a bit. So, in that sense, now even if I'm going on a work trip and I'm not adhering to any of my food goals or any of my movement goals, the fluctuation is very minimal from that baseline. And in that sense, I feel pleasantly surprised. Like, oh my God, I didn't really know my body can actually change and maintain that change over a period of time.
That's so much work you have put into consistent habits, Megha. Your body is basically rewarding you. And for everybody who's watching us, the scale doesn't tell the whole story. So I've met so many women who show changes on the scale and body composition. And I also meet quite a number of women who don't show any change on the scale but look very different in front of the mirror. And Megha, you had so much resistance with strength training. I remember even up to like 4 5 months, there was quite a struggle, but now you've picked it up and you're like,
Yeah.
you've become like a gym addict now, you know. So
Yeah.
incredible stuff. Now tell me, because of the physical changes, what does it do to your mood and the relationship with your body now?
I think the biggest star in that journey is how I build my food, build my meals, because that is, in my opinion, at least, that is the major input into our process that we built for ourselves here. When I joined the program, I wasn't even eating what, 15 grams of protein a day? That too by accident, not by choice. But then we built it up now, easily hitting 95 grams per day. And we have, from the get-go in the program itself, protein was one of the biggest changes we did. Right. So in that sense, 70, 75 was our initial number. And I think, and I, since I'm a breakfast person, I used to front load that protein from whey powder in my overnight oats. And so that gave me around 40 grams in the morning itself. And the steadiness in my mood that I noticed at that time, and how it directly helped me in not having those crashes where I have to reach out for a coffee or a snack. That was incredible. My mood was extremely steady, in fact, joyful, because I was feeling like, oh, I'm not falling here, you know. So it was much more steady. It helped me focus much better. My focus improved a lot. I wasn't tired after waking up, you know. Otherwise, you wake up tired and then everything's like downhill from there.
Mm.
So this helped me a lot in my focus, getting rid of my brain fog, and then having steady blood glucose levels, because I was pretty insistent that I need that. Whatever food we are designing here, I need that to be aligned with my blood sugar stability as well because of my own things. So, all in all, I would say since that fed into our process, my mood saw an uptick from early on in the journey. And that is when I realized, okay, so morning, protein, fiber, some good fats, you are set until 1 p.m. Solid. You know, your work is amazing. You're a much pleasant person to look at, much pleasant person to be with and mingle, and you yourself don't feel the need to have anything else other than water in that time. And it's interlinked, like whatever happiness and smug satisfaction you derive from this, it feeds into your joy that you project outside. So I think
Absolutely.
it's a very vicious circle in that sense, in a good way, but it's incredible. It was incredible to
Totally.
see it all firsthand.
Yeah, and front loading protein in your day, like you rightly said, regulates your blood sugar, keeps the insulin sensitivity up, especially for somebody who had that propensity towards diabetes,
Yeah,
right? Parents had that. So that was something that we wanted to take careful thought into. It also kept your cravings and your snacking at bay, right? In
very
between
much,
meal
very
cravings,
much.
that was happening a lot initially. I remember when we started working, that was like a thing of the past. So
Yeah,
incredible the way you shifted physically, mentally, emotionally, socially. You were more keen to now engage with your colleagues. I remember that conversation early on, right? You were not kind of open to doing that, but then slowly, slowly you started getting into that space, because your thing was, oh, if I go there, what do I eat? Those were certain things, cafeteria, what kind of choices. So we kind of worked on those as well to give you the confidence that, hey, wherever you go, you can actually handle it. So now talking about travel, you had quite a bit of travel during the time that we worked together, Megha. How important was that for you to learn those skills?
It was fun, to be honest, because I also took that time to I saw those as mini examinations. Like how far I can stretch, how am I making better choices within the options presented to me. And also later on in those travel journeys itself, doing things that are non-negotiables to me. So just setting it up that way. Like initially, I would just go and make better choices. Like if there is a protein choice in the menu, I would choose that. And like the whole week, I would be sticking to my plan of clean eating, but then the weekend I would be a little flexible, just focusing on, okay, at least let's have protein. If we are not able to have fiber, it's okay. Just have this. That kind of thing, and making smarter choices that way. That was my first stage of travels. And I also calibrate every time I do that, and then the next stage was during Christmas. I took a yoga mat and kept it in my partner's place, and so that I stayed there for 10 days, and I was like, I need to move. And Christmas, it's winter in Europe, and it's much more colder in the northern part of Switzerland. So getting out and walking may not be really possible. And I had to make alternate arrangements for that, which is why I took a yoga mat and kept it in his place. And, I need to move. And for that, I need something there, and I took protein powder with me, and now there is a pack there, you
Okay,
know.
nice.
So yeah, and in one of these travels before Christmas, in our initial days, I went and purchased my overnight oats ingredients and kept it in his place, so that now just with some when I'm visiting, he can just buy banana and milk and keep it, so that I can make my breakfast the previous day and put it in the fridge for the next day. So all these small changes, it was like exams for me, but also an opportunity to recalibrate what was working and what was not working. And now it's not like I'm completely off my routine when I go there, because I have the elements that make me that give me those wins when I'm there. Not all the wins, obviously. Of course, we are going to enjoy life. We are going to go out. We are going to do this, do that, da 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 da. But that's okay. That's part of life. But I have everything that I need there to have my foundation blocks ready. So now
Nice.
when I go there, I'm more like, yeah, I'll just have my breakfast and then we can go out. So then when we go out, it's usually 1:30 or 2 when we have lunch, and by the time I'm properly hungry, then I can make whatever nice choice I can make. Right. So I think figuring out ways to kind of compensate the jolly living in the weekend with all these foundational blocks gave me a lot of confidence to live my life without guilt, and also that assuaged my guilt from this mentality of, oh, yo, it's weekend, am I straying too much, am I just letting go of everything? No, because now my thought is that I've had my morning protein, I've moved, so it's okay. Baki I can enjoy. And then we'll be back to normal. It's a lot of mindset also, coach, in my opinion, right?
Absolutely.
And yeah, and kind of doing what we can within our purview to have at least two out of the six things in place. That itself is a big thing, because like this is something very very important I learned in the program. Life happens, you can't control it, so you need to have that foundational blocks ready, and you work with what cards you get. You play the
Absolutely.
game with what cards you get, because life happens.
Totally. So, yeah, we do work quite a bit on the mindset apart from the actual physical skills, because only when you get them both going parallelly? Are you able to sustain the practices? So, in Mega's scenario, we worked on a lot of mindset shifts, beliefs that was stopping her from making any kind of sustainable progress. We will definitely come to that. But quickly, I want to point out here, Mega, you being a planner and prepper, you were craving for structure and system in your life, which is what we brought into place with your meal planning, meal prepping, making sure some foundation was happening. So, coming to the mindset shifts, Mega, what were some shifts that you noticed during the course of the program that you think we worked on?
My biggest, at least from my perspective, the biggest shift is that I moved from an all or nothing person to something is better than nothing in terms of nutrition and movement. Because movement, I think that was my biggest block. If I don't do it perfectly, I'm not doing it ever. And come on, perfect days don't really exist all the time, right? So that was my biggest takeaway from the program. Second mindset shift was again this perfectionist kind of a syndrome kind of thing where, oh my God, if I don't hit my 95 grams of protein today, it's gone. No, it's not gone. You still had 60 grams, which is a great, jump from 15 that you were having. And one day in a week where you have 60 grams of protein is not going to do damage. Right. So all of these things took a lot of rewiring in my brain, to be honest, because like you said, I'm a planner. I typically tend to move in the rigid direction, and
Right.
when things are not going my way, I get flustered. But working in this program was discovering those parts of myself that I realized that, oh, those are not really set in stone. I can change it if I want to. And that has helped me a lot. And it's not to say that I don't plan at all. I still plan, but it's more like a, a broad skeletal thing. I'm open
Framework.
to mixing and matching, as we go.
So framework is good to have, but it's important to be flexible within that framework.
Exactly. Yeah.
Make sure we account for these imperfect scenarios that may crop up, right? And how do you adapt? So that was one of
Yeah.
the skills that we taught you, Mega, which was how to learn and adapt to circumstances that life throws at you, to not give up everything. Can you keep some
Correct.
going? That flexible mindset, working with what you can control. Self kindness and self compassion was big that we worked on, Mega. How important was that for you? Because you were a very self-judgmental and a very self-critical person when you started, but then slowly that started changing. So how do you feel about that shift right now?
It feels great, coach. Honestly, I needed that gentleness in my life from myself. When I joined the program, I was getting the gentleness around me. I was in a cozy place externally, but internally I was still quite self-critical, not compassionate to myself. I knew those concepts, and I would probably exercise it once in a while when things went really, really, really wrong. Like, for example, when I don't get a job that I really, really wanted, or when I get a rejection from a hiring team, or, when I fall down when I was not expecting to fall down. And then I used to exercise those aspects of healing, but it wasn't part of my daily life. But then the program has actually given me that safe space to start practicing those habits in daily life, and by extension shown me how it is important to have that in daily life, and those shouldn't be reserved for your one-off one-off departure from what you expected or anything. No, these are part of your life. You need to be soft to yourself first. Who else will be? So that kind of reframing, I think, was very important for me, because I used to be very hard on myself, and now I think it's improving. Still a journey, but yeah, improving.
Really, really long way, Megha. One of the other important strategies or skill sets that is important to learn is how we behave around festivals, holidays, travel, restaurant eating. Those are all some strategies that we taught you. So how confident do you feel now to engage, on travel or, restaurant, festivals, holidays?
Now I'm super fine, coach, honestly. Like recently I also went on a work trip and then I was telling you how it was very meat heavy. And then I was so happy to find a traditional bean soup. It's still trying traditional food of that country, but again, ticks the fiber goal, even if it doesn't tick the protein goal, and it's fine. Right. So I think now I've learned much better on how to work with all these celebrations and your posts occasionally on how you itself do that. Like enjoy, relish it with guilt because that social connection is important. That
Not guilty.
finding joy, that spark is important and everything, and
Relish
then you
without.
move on. Yeah, I have internalized those posts of yours. You eat the I think it was Barbecue Nation or one of those all you can eat buffet dessert plates of yours. It lives in my head rent free. My coach eats, relishes, and moves on. So I also can do it. I can do it. It's true. Right. So I think becoming more lenient there has relieved a lot of stress in my body. So my body also takes it very naturally. Lena, the guilt when it I think it adds a bit of stress, which
Absolutely.
adds water weight or holds something in the body, and then you feel worse.
And not to mention the guilt fuels even more eating because now you're saying,
Yeah,
okay, you know what, screw it. I already, this happened. So there's no point in continuing. Let me go down that rabbit hole. Right.
true.
So now let's talk about who do you see in the mirror when you see yourself now?
I think I see somebody who is confident of putting herself out there. Otherwise there was always this thing of, wait, are you pretending to be somebody who you are not by, say, eating clean or without that structure? Are you pretending to be someone who you're not? And are you trying to fit in? All those kind of weird questions. But now I see somebody who is confident that whatever process is working for her is working for her. She doesn't have to try to fit those process into someone else's expectations. I know that this is working for me, so I'm going to
Mm.
keep up with this. I don't need to fix unnecessarily what is not broken for me.
Mm.
And on the other end, I also see a gym girl because I've started waking up earlier in the morning, going to the gym early, and now I'm like, who is she? I don't know her.
Nice.
So I blame you for that.
I'll thankfully take that blame, Priyanka. So that confidence, that feeling in charge of your life, that control you feel, it's so important for a woman to feel that, right?
So
Because
true.
it opens up so many different compartments in our head, for other things that we can focus on when the weight or the fitness journey or the mental and emotional health is all taken care of and is in a very good space. So let's talk about what is one thing you want to thank your body for today, Megha?
For for just supporting me in the way I need all through my life, all through its phases. I mean, yes, I was not really happy with the body I had when I started the program or maybe 1 year ago, but then I was also really aware and grateful that this is the body that supported me from so much ups and downs in the last 6 7 years. Right. It did what it needs to do to keep me
Mm,
alive.
mm,
And now it is doing what it needs to do to become better, to shed those tension, those stress, and those in case of emergency fat, you know. And now I am rewarding my body by moving more, giving it the nutrition that it needs, and that's probably my way of thanking it. But I would, I'm eternally grateful for whatever it did to me, did for me until now. There is no bad blood there.
Very, very beautifully put, Megha. Simply to capture it in a nutshell, you have learned to support your body now.
Yeah.
And the body does not have to hold on to anything anymore. It feels safe to let
Yes.
go. That is what is happening. Literally, I'm getting goose flesh when I say that. Right? I mean, exactly what happened in your scenario. It was holding on to so much mentally, emotionally, physically, you were hurting, right? And the body's natural self-defense mechanism is to increase the padding with fat. Basically,
Yeah.
just more fat. Okay, she's going through a lot. Let me just pile on more fat. That's the only thing the body knows to do. You know,
Yeah.
make you eat, pile on excess calories as padding everywhere around the body. Because
Yeah.
to the body, you're going through threat. It's a threat,
Yeah.
right? But then when you have learned the skills to support your body so well, physically, mentally, emotionally, you're in a much better place. Doesn't have to hold on to that. It feels
True.
safe to let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So coming to the coaching experience, Megha, how did it feel for a coach to walk by your side through the entire time of your journey?
When I still remember we had our initial call when I was in India, when I was visiting my parents in August. It felt a bit scary when I started out because I was still doubting myself. Will I be able to commit to this? Will I be able to stay committed to this? What if all the time I invest doesn't bring me the fruits it should have and all of that? But again, I in hindsight, I realized that it's probably the fact that I was there, visiting my folks. It comes with its own riders. Yeah, I can't do the meals that I want. I have to go with the family, you know, I have to go with those rules and everything. There is much less room for flexibility when I was there. But then once I came back and then when we started working more seriously together, it felt very reassuring, coach, because there were times when I used to panic and I used to send you messages, and then you will reassure me. And then once I started seeing the results, like you rightly say, often that evidence, let's speak with evidence. So even if you don't feel like it, take those pictures, update those measurements, and then let's see what the evidence say. Right. So I think that approach helped me a lot to see that, okay, something is working in the right direction. So and then it becomes that reinforces me to work more diligently, and it shows results, and then that reinforces me to keep working more diligently. So it's that loop. You go
Correct.
on and on and on, and having you by my side for answering questions or sending, even to seek a bit validation. There were time when I just wanted validation from you. I didn't need advice because I was like, okay, this is a lot right now, and I am trying to do all of it, whatever I can, to whatever extent, but right now I need validation. I've asked you that openly. So I think it was very nice to have somebody who is knowledgeable, who has experience, and who is kind enough to give me what I need at that point in time, without skimping on it, without being judgy that எதுக்கு validation now? You are a grown up. You should validate yourself. So in my head, when somebody says that, I would be like, I know that. I know I can validate myself. Right now, I'm asking you to validate me because I'm in need of that external validation. Respect me as an adult who knows what she wants and honor that, please. So you were really that person for me there. You didn't second guess my choices. You didn't second guess my decisions. You played along really well. Well played. But I felt very empowered working with you. Like, I'm not letting go of my agency, but I also have somebody who is watchfully, mindfully, gently guiding me to the place where I want to be.
Thank you so much, Megha. That means a lot. And I just want to point out that this is a fully supported program. Literally, I was in Mega's pocket. Like she could reach out to me anytime, right? And it was a very structured program with the skill sets that Mega needed. Again, the same way I cater this program structure based on the individual. Everything is customized, and that's the only reason it worked. And that's the only reason she feels confident right now to carry on with this journey on her own, right? So tell me one aha moment from our coaching experience, Mega. What was an aha moment?
That's that's so hard to pick, coach. முன்னாடியே சொல்லியிருந்தா நான் பிக் பண்ணியாவது வச்சிருப்பேன். I think my aha moment was maybe 2 or 3 months into the program when I saw I that might have been my second or third set of measurements, I think, and I saw that I had reduced 25 or 28 centimeters from when I started. That was my biggest aha moment, honestly. I was like, oh. And then I still remember that day because I put the numbers and then did the calculation, and then I was like, what? And then I went back because up until then I would still be very shy to look at myself in the mirror. I wouldn't. Then I
Mm.
went back and checked myself out in the mirror and I could see some reduced puffiness. I was like, holy hell, I didn't notice that. And I mean, that also comes from the bias that I pretty much look at my face every day. Then I don't see the need to observe closely. And then there is one outfit check after you get ready for work. And that's the only split second that I look at myself in the mirror per day. After that, we really don't need that. So I don't do that. But that day, it was a bit of a pleasant shock for me because I took time to look at me all over me with form-fitting clothes. Like, wow, okay, something is working. So, yeah, that would be my biggest aha moment.
Yes, and I think that was also the moment where you shared, you tried on some tights and you said, Coach, the tights are going above my tummy. It's like fitting so well. I remember that.
Black jeans also.
Nice.
Black
Yeah,
jeans, and
exactly.
I rewarded my black jeans by taking her out on a spin
Correct, correct.
on
I
a nice
remember that.
autumn day.
So
Yeah.
tell me, how has this coaching shaped your confidence to continue on your own, Mega? Because that is one of the questions that my women ask me all the time. Okay, we do the program, great, but what after? So how confident do you feel now?
Very confident because now all these elements of coaching, like in terms of plating my meal, portion control, hydration, movement, strength training, all of it has now become my habit. Right. So it's like anything you do long enough will become a habit. Right. And because it's become parts of my everyday, I feel more confident going forward with the habits that we built. And also because I know that even if I'm not able to do all six or all seven of these small elements every day, it's okay if I do five. I will still
Mm.
survive, my body will still be okay. So I get to pick and choose, and often I don't miss out on nutrition because we don't fail to eat every day. So that is an easy win for me. I look for those easier wins per day. And if I have to grocery shop that day, I walk so that that bit of movement is done. And then I try to tailor it into my daily life, or if I'm going to meet a friend, I walk to maybe 2 or 3 bus stops, I walk and then take the bus. Those kind of small things, I've understood that all of those add up. If not today, over time they add up because that is how my fat added up for 30 years. Right.
Absolutely.
So
It
good
doesn't
things
happen
also add
overnight,
up.
right? Doesn't Nothing happens
Exactly.
overnight. And it's these tiny habits, like I always say, it's like compound interest. You know, these tiny daily habits that we are not, in fact, utilizing, which we should utilize even more and more. What is it that I
Yeah.
can do right now? Past is not under my control, future is not under my control. Today is my day. What can I do better? if we continue to reflect on every day and create these tiny wins, like you said, right? They all add up to give that big transformation. We did not directly work on any particular number, goal, or anything, but we focused on your daily behaviors and
Yeah.
helping you consistently, nail it, right? As much as you could. Again, there is a scale. One day will be a 10, one day will be a 1. Don't switch off to a 0. That's what we
Yeah.
said, right? Do something. So super stuff, Megha. And in closing, I just want to quickly pick your brain on this one thing, right?
Mm.
Which is to all the women who are perhaps navigating perimenopause or menopause or going through some really health issues or feeling stuck with their weight. Based on your journey, what is that one thing that you will tell them, Megha, to help them take action?
Invest in yourself. It's okay. It's okay to put yourself first in certain aspects of life. The world is built on your labor and it cannot function without you. So if you take an hour off every day for yourself, the world will be okay. So put that time, put that emotional, mental load, put that motivation, everything into you for you. You're gonna do great. And you should be doing that, because you should be your first cheerleader.
Super stuff. That was so motivating, so inspiring, and thank you so much for your honesty in our conversation, Megha. So this journey was not just about building habits, but it was about delivering yourself to yourself, coming
Yes.
home to yourself, to your body, to your mind, that sacred space.
Yes.
And I'm so happy to have been a small tool in that journey of yours, Megha. Okay, so incredible,
I am
very
eternally grateful, coach. Honestly, you came into my life when I needed you at the right time and zero regrets. Seriously, I didn't imagine my body and my mind and all of it to be capable of such drastic change and to hold on to that discipline. But now I know, and that is all thanks to you. And
thank
this is
you,
the
Megha.
best investment I've done for myself.
That makes me so proud. We are definitely going to be in touch. You're going to continue to update me about your progress, and I'm all ears and
Yes.
always rooting for you, Megha, wherever you are, wherever I
Thanks,
am.
coach.
It's a
Thank
relationship
you
that
so
we have
much.
formed for life. Okay,
Yes.
and
And I
whenever you're
love the community that you're building by sharing recipes, sharing other things from your clients to your other clients. Thanks for building that community. We need more women who talk about these things.
absolutely. Thank you so much, Megha, for this
Thanks, coach.
opportunity. Wishing you the best. Okay,
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you.